Nice to have you on board here. Um, First of all, thank you for accepting my invitation to interview you.
Thanks for having me, man. I have no problem. Anyone who wants to talk to me, I'm like, hey, I'm all available because I'm super grateful to be even remotely close to the position I'm in, and I know that's because people are interested in what I have to say.
So that's the thing. I was actually looking, because I've been following you for a while, okay? And it's one of the things I was saying to one of my team members. It's like your followers are very, very active. Whatever you tweet out, there's a bunch of responses.
Yeah, because for better or worse, some would argue better. I argue. I mean, look, some would argue worse. I argue better because I know how to use it, and I'm getting better at stepping away. But I,
Hmm.
I really, I was a late adopter to Twitter because
Hmm.
I didn't really get it or whatever. And then once I seen the potential for idea sharing and connecting with other people, I said, wait a second, this is a really cool thing. Let me kind of go and establish a presence here, and in
Yeah.
doing so, my life has changed, not just from like a financial standpoint, but the connections and friends I've made and the people I've got to know and what I've learned and just random things that come across my way. you know, I I'm very I love it, man. And but I get out of it what I put into it, or I try to get
Yes.
more out of it than what I put into it. But I do so in a way of giving. I don't try to take instead of or take more than I get. I try to give more than I get, but in doing so, I continue to get more back. So it's really great.
Well, it's a nice little circle there. The more you put in, the more you get back, and but you have to do it legitimately. Like you really have to want to give, not just in order to get back.
Right, exactly. You have to give without the expectation of getting anything. If you do it with the expectation of return, then what you're doing is just a really bad business deal. And
Yeah,
although there is a business element to what I do, I certainly and the people who work with me can vouch for this, mostly for the worst. I certainly am not like big on trying to extract as much as I can for myself. I'm big on fairness, but when it comes to just distributing knowledge and giving information and trying to help, I think all that really matters is being yourself. And that's kind of cliche. So I'll rephrase that. I think what matters more is presenting the best parts of you to the world, but doing so in a way where people can learn from it. So that allows you to present your worst parts as well.
well, see, you say that. Um, Now, I'm going to make a comment regarding presenting the best parts of you. One of the things that I've noticed is that you really present your background as is. Okay, you have a lot
Yeah.
of books about crackheads and whatnot.
You know, I I was looking over a tweet I put out a little while ago, and I think I said, I don't make the jokes about crackheads because I look down on them. It's just how I manage to cope with my surroundings growing up was
Yeah.
humor. Some people, what is that old saying? You can laugh a little or cry a lot. I chose to laugh probably more than I should, but it's really given me this I believe so healthy. Now, certainly not healthy. At one point, everything takes time to mature, grow, integrate, well, develop and integrate into your overall personality. But I think, I mean, I have a lot of fun. And not only do I have a lot of fun, I'm really at the point where, like, if a person is offended for whatever reason, forget them. Because I don't do it in an offensive manner. I try and create this kind of mythology or lore almost behind the crackhead. And if a person can't handle that, they got to go. I remember I retweeted a bunch of my crackhead statements and black coffee statements in like rapid succession, and I lost like 50 followers. And I was like, "Good riddance." I said, if you can't handle my account at its most ridiculous, you don't deserve it at its most profound.
No, absolutely. Because I will say this. I mean, first of all, your account is fairly tame.
Oh
You're not
yeah.
provocative in any way that anyone who's sane of mind would be like, oh, he's telling us, that we should be crackheads in order to succeed, you know. But I do love, there was one tweet that you had where it was the crackhead doesn't think about, will he be rejected or what you think of him or whatever. He
Oh
just
yeah.
goes and gets it. No, but that was really, I like that. I like that. But one of the things actually that I appreciate about those tweets is, there's a saying that in the Talmud, it's a Jewish book, who is smart? He who learns from everyone. Okay? The
Hmm.
fact that you're able to take something which is not positive, I mean, let's put it out here, don't do drugs. Okay?
Yeah.
But the fact that you're able to take, something from there and actually learn, get a lesson from it for life, for business, for whatever, is what I find so awesome.
Oh well, thank you, man. And really, it's a form of alchemy. You have to take all of these little parts about yourself, the good and the bad, and you have to mix them together. And if you do it well, and really the secret to doing it well is to just do it. So many people are worried about how they'll be perceived or how people are going to take what they say, and it's just like, no. If you, I think, I really believe if you go out there with the best intent possible,
Yeah.
it's very difficult to go wrong when it comes to just sharing information. Right now, intent can get you into trouble, or rather, intent alone can get you into trouble. When it comes time to take like action and doing things. But if we're gonna just talk about telling your story or what you've experienced or cracking a joke, I think if you go out there with the best intentions possible, you're not you avoid a lot of mistakes. And even when you make mistakes, I think mistakes have a humanizing effect on a person. So you end up becoming more liked. I mean, it's really, and I know there are going to be some people that go, okay, well, being liked isn't the point. Not necessarily. I think people take it to extremes. It's not, you want to be a sycophant, but you also want to look like you're trying to appease everyone. Like there's not an extreme. There's like a middle ground.
Yeah.
There is, it's funny in my AMA on Instagram. Someone asked me what was the most important thing you learned in the army. And I said the power of being likable, man. Do not underestimate that. One of my favorite stories. You have to go through shooting qualification in order to graduate from basic training,
Right.
and you get three chances, and I failed all three of them. Right. And I was like, and dude, and this was really stressful because I went to the army late. I had a plan. I was gonna come out, get right into school. That's why I went, because I was gonna go
Okay.
to the National Guard. I went so I could get money for school, and then I was gonna serve and do all this, right? And this was, I had a timetable. And if you can't pass shooting, you get recycled. You start from the beginning. First of all, I'm pretty sure hell is doing basic training over again. But like I I had a time people were coming to see, and don't you know? Because I spent so much time, just being real, being myself, not going out of my way, being respectful. Because a lot of the people, because I enrolled late
Yeah.
or enlisted late, a lot of my superiors were younger than me.
Okay.
But you go and you still treat them with the respect that their rank deserves, and that in itself makes you likable. They gave me a third chance, and I passed it like barely. I mean, like
Nice.
you gotta get 23 out of 40 or greater. I got 23 exactly, and I was
Oh.
like, and dude, and I remember this. I actually wrote my girlfriend when it happened, and I didn't know what the temperature was, but I felt like it was like 100. Turns out it was like 95 that day. It was a hot, stressful day. The sun was
Okay.
out bright, and it's one of those little triumphs of my life. I always look back to. I go, the biggest lesson of that, because I practiced a lot. I already knew how to practice,
Yeah.
and I was focused, and I knew all that. But the biggest lesson, the reason why my whole timetable didn't get shifted, and who knows what would have happened. I think it would have been fine, but who knows? The whole reason my timetable did not get shifted is because I understood being likable. I understood
Yeah.
the power of having people on your side.
Yeah.
Even when you're at the lowest of the low, a recruit in the army, because you're still a recruit. You're not in the army until you
Hmm.
graduate basic training. You're not even, officially a soldier.
Right.
Um, it you can still use the principles of being likable in that position and end up end up with some advantages, man. Where it really counts.
Uh, Definitely, I agree with that. Recently, I had a car problem where everything went to hell like just all at once, and I was stopping people in the middle of the street. I was stopping the cars. First of all, to apologize that I was blocking them, right? Because I mean, basic decency. And I would always add it, yeah, because this and that happened, right? Because you never know. I found myself at some point with five guys around me. Each one of them was trying because I had my battery and my tire that had gone. Yeah. And pretty much these five guys, like between all of us, we managed to fix it, right? And a friend
Oh
of mine was
yeah.
there, and he's like, "How do you do that?" I said, "What?" He said, "You got five complete strangers, okay?" And this was in Paris, where people,
Oh no.
are in a rush to get from one place to the other, right? And the streets are small, so if you're stopped, you're literally blocking everyone. The ones who passed had to go up on the sidewalk, right? I looked at him like, "What do you mean? People like me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, so do you live in Paris?
No, well, right now, yes.
Oh man, that's so awesome, dude. Like we Paris is well, not the only European city. There've been a few at this point now. Because I grew up really poor. I didn't do anything, and then like in the past 3 years, I've been able to do a lot of traveling. And
Okay.
my girlfriend really loves Paris, and she was like, "Let's go." So we went. We spent Christmas 2016 there, and then we went back again last Thanksgiving. And let me tell you something. My Paris is Paris is like in my memory one of those places. First of all, I think it's great because like me, I'm a guy. First I don't drink, which like if there was wine, I'm sure the wine is great. Haven't had it there, but
Yeah.
I love learning. And I love just like architecture and everything. So there's so many museums. The Christmas
Yes.
present her sister got us when we went the first time was a museum pass. So you go to all the museums, for free.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, talk about getting use out of it. And I don't think we even I mean, we went to probably an average of two museums a day for a week. And I don't think we saw one fourth of the museums there.
Oh yeah, no, the city is very culturally rich. It's incredible in that sense. I've been here a few months and I'm ready to leave. Okay, that's no, I travel a lot, so I spend a few months here, a few months there, right?
Okay.
Um, and I've seen Paris. It's a beautiful city. There's a lot of culture. I am ready to leave.
uh, So,
Um,
so now I know you're like I'm on your
no, go
podcast
ahead,
and
go
you're
ahead.
interviewing me, but I'm just super curious then. So
Conversation.
like, so you travel just for the sake of traveling? Is it like with family? Are you alone? Or like, do you speak French? Like, why France? Like, I guess I'm curious, man.
No, that's cool. So I don't have a family.
Okay.
I travel alone, me and my birds, literally birds.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, not the UK, because I used to say that, and
Oh,
yeah,
that's
you got
funny.
it. For anybody listening who doesn't know, in the UK, a bird is a woman.
Woman,
So
yeah.
yeah, I used to say, I mean, travel, me and my birds, plural. People are like, wait, how many girls do you have in there with you?
That's funny as heck, man.
No, so I mean little birds with feathers.
Yeah.
Um, and I just travel around. I meet people all over. You know, sometimes it's for a client. Like we went to Russia a year ago, and we stayed there for 3 months, and that was for a client. Okay.
Oh, no
Um,
kidding.
yeah, that was awesome, dude. That was awesome. Came back by train, so it went from Moscow to Paris. You know, the
Oh,
training.
dude, I'm moving to in November now. Finally, a month lockdown. Moving to Portugal, and one
Okay.
of the things I'm really excited about is the trans-European train system and being able to
Yes.
go and do things. Because here in America, we don't have that system. I look at taking a train someplace, and it's more expensive than flying because supply and demand.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, okay, do I really want to, I wanted to take a train down to Charleston. I just like Charleston. Or rather, I
Okay.
wanted to see Charleston, whatever, before I go. And it's just cheaper to fly. Not
Yeah.
only it's cheaper and it's faster. So I'm like, okay, what do I get out of it? Eh,
So listen, I'll tell you, I got a train ticket from Moscow to Paris, right? Which is about a 40-hour train. Okay.
okay.
First class. You'll never guess how much I paid for it.
On the, man, as popular as rail travel is in Europe, oh, man, under 500 euro? Or 500 euro? I'll go with 500 euro.
Under 500.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine and I'll do it like because of my gracious attitude and towards everything, pretty much like I don't think I've turned anyone down for a podcast at all.
Okay.
Well, with that, and then so as a result of I've done a lot, and it just dawned on me. I have really no idea like what your background is or what your show is. I just was like, okay, let's do a podcast. He seems professional because he sent me a calendar link. Let's go. But yeah, I have no clue, man. So like when you say you have a client, I don't know what that means.
So I'll
Well,
explain. I'll explain what my interest in you was based on the business. All right.
okay,
Over at the Good Life Manifesto, it's something I started about a year ago, on my birthday a year ago. So in 2 weeks, because today's September 30th, that's when we're doing
okay,
this. In 2 weeks, it'll be my birthday again. In 2 weeks, it'll be a year that the Good Life Manifesto exists. Okay. And
okay,
for a while, I'll explain how it started. The idea behind the Good Life Manifesto is in order to lead a good life, for each one, the path is different. Okay.
right,
One person saying, oh, you know what, this is the way to lead a good life, BS, I am sorry, but that is not true. All right. Just like if we take it career wise, some people should be entrepreneurs, some people should be employees. Okay. That's what makes them happy. And
yes,
telling everyone the only way you'll be happy is if you're out of the rat race, and be an entrepreneur. Not true. Some people really are a lot happier with a 9 to 5, where they can go up the career ladder little by little. And some people are happier like me traveling all the time. Some people really don't want to leave their house. I know someone who on his vacation, he's just happy staying at home, going to the coffee shop next door. That's it. That's his vacation. That's what makes him happy. And so there were two things. I was really sick and tired of seeing, 20-year-olds who know nothing about life, however smart they may be, they know nothing about life at 20,
right.
saying, oh, pay me to be your consultant. It's like, hell no. Like, who are you? On the one hand. And on the other hand, there were these people telling you, oh, this is what you need to do to lead a good life. Okay. And I was just against that. So the entire idea behind the website is that everybody has their own path. And my goal is to help you find the path that's right for you.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
That's very cool.
Um,
I'm a big fan of that idea.
Thank you. And I've been following you for a while, okay? And I actually got to you. This is funny. It's someone that I don't follow anymore who retweeted something that you tweeted. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't follow him because it's, very, I'm the alpha, but very sensitive. If somebody like pokes a little bit, that tells me,
Yeah.
there's something wrong there. Um, but after he retweeted you, I kind of went on your timeline, yeah, and I checked out your tweets. I was like, oh, this guy is like, I liked you because you were so authentic. I even went on your website, and the pictures that you had there of yourself, obviously not photoshopped because it's you like in a mirror, literally like no filter, no nothing. And I like that. I like that because you're not saying, oh, I come from a horrible background. You say, I come from a background that's not easy. you know?
Yeah, I'll always specify,
Yeah,
especially since I've got to travel a lot now. I always specify that I was American poor, not absolutely poor, because I've seen poverty now. And when I can't remember exactly the neighborhood, even if it was the neighborhood, but when I was in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, I was like, these people, like, we were down there helping people get floors, and that sounds crazy,
yeah.
right? But, like, yeah, there's a whole region of the city that didn't have floors, and my girlfriend and I did a project down there. We were, pouring cement, working in paper factories, working in some of the local, like, there are these gardens in the city, and I was just like, man, I just, okay, I had trouble getting some food sometimes, but I always had floors,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm asking, I'm like, well, what do you guys do? Because it was just dirt. And I'm like, what do you guys do when it rains, where it just gets muddy? And I'm like,
Well,
okay, that's like obvious, but, like, what do you
yeah.
do? And I'm like, that's it. And then it
Well,
really,
no. I'll say just something, and then I'll make a comment about your website that I'm going to ask a question. It's like even with the camper van, or even on the sailboat, sometimes you don't have a lot of running water. Okay, and this sounds really stupid because today I financially I'm very comfortable, and so the idea that running water, I consider it a luxury. Yeah, most people look at me and like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, no, guys, seriously, think about this. Even me, and I love traveling. Yeah, whether it's with my camper van or it's on the sailboat, I love it. Okay, even with the hardships that come with it, and sometimes you're not taking a shower, in a while because you don't have enough fresh water to do everything, right?
yeah.
And I prefer to drink it than to take my shower if I have to. Um, and then all of a sudden, coming into an office, right, and like there's just running water for everything. You don't need to think about it. It's like I'm like, damn, this is luxurious. You don't even need to give me a lot of this one.
Yeah.
And people just take stuff for granted. Um, and so yeah, so what I like the last thing that convinced me actually that I really want to speak with you and to interview you for the site is on your website. You see, a lot of people say, "Oh, you know what? I'm rich. Okay, and this is why you should follow me." Right? Um, and I like the fact that you don't. You actually say, I'm comfortable, but I still need to work
You
for
know
my
how
monthly
you know
income.
you I always talk about this. I have such an interesting relationship with money, coming from none. I mean,
Yeah,
like, none. And then being poor most of my life. I mean, you want to talk about, like, I'm 34 now. We'll say I can officially call myself, outside of this little stint for like 2 years when I was a sponsored boxer, living in Los Angeles. Definitely was not poor by any metric then. But outside of that, poor most of my life, till I was about 32. Uh, what I'll say is this: I I don't. First of all, I don't think making money separates you or gives you any qualification, and that's a weird kind of statement for a person who lacked that thing most of their life. But I do not believe the fact that you can make money qualifies you for anything. Look, man, I knew a lot of people coming up who made money selling dope, like, and you know that. And people think that's such an extreme example. I'm like, no, I mean, they took
yeah,
advantage of business. And when you understand and start seeing business principles and everything, you realize that business in and of itself is a skill, but it's a skill like writing or like learn another language. By itself, the skill is just a thing, right? What should happen is you make money. But what have you done that pushes you? And this is a big thing I talk about in personal branding, is what have you done that makes you stand out and be different, and can you lean on that? And what I find, and this is this bothers some guys when I tell them this, but it's true. I go, you focus on how much money you've made because nothing else about you is fundamentally unique or interesting or you feel confident in. Now, I don't know if it's because you're young, it's because you're lazy, it's because you haven't found your voice. There's any number of reasons why. I'm not knocking it like it's automatically just some kind of personality defect. What I
yeah,
will say though is that anyone who's got eyes that can see this, I can just do so much more discussing the other parts of my life than I can about money. Now, if someone wants to sit and talk to me, how did you do this? How did you get out of that position? Oh yeah. There's tons I can learn, but I don't want to lead with that because I just think there are more interesting things for me
Yes.
to say, and there are more, and more importantly, it's easier, and more, but simultaneously more impactful to discuss sobriety, to discuss pornography addiction, to discuss what I learned coming up, growing in the projects, and how you can use that in your life.
Yeah.
You know, the things like that are really. I got one of my favorite articles. It's not like super SEO, and I probably should at some point do that. Is an article about gratitude, because I'm such a big person on gratitude, because I recognize every moment just sitting here. You know, there are a lot of people who are exactly like me, but the coin landed just on the other side, and they're serving 5 to 10 years because they did something while they were drunk, or they got shot coming up as a kid by a stray bullet in the neighborhood. I recognize how fortunate I am, and I hate using the word, but I don't have another word for it. But I also think it doesn't uniquely apply to me. I think it applies to everyone in their own way. I'm very blessed. I'm blessed for not just how I came together to be the person I am, but the time period I'm born. I mean, I could have been born in the 1800s, man. I'd be working in somebody's plantation. Let's be real here. Timing is everything. I could have been born in the 1980s. Well, I was an adult an adult in the 1980s. I mean, so born in the
Yeah.
1960s, and so I'm twice as old now, and I'm not coming of age in the internet age, and I think that makes a really big difference. I say I'm so grateful to be born in the Oregon Trail age, as they say, as in were you born? Do you remember playing Oregon Trail in the computer games when you were a kid? That's how they like group and
Right.
decide to slice out, because the millennial designation is wider than I think it should be because of the rapid technological change
Yeah.
that occurred, not just technological, but on a lesser extent, societal, but still impactful. That affects people. It's a very different experience if you're born from 80, I'll say 3 to 92 than it is from 92 to like 97. And
Absolutely.
those are all technically millennials. And I'm like, that's a very different experience, especially
Very.
in high school,
No, no, I completely agree with you. And regarding the issue of timing, which is a question of luck, ultimately, it's one of the things that I'm very grateful. Even the hardships that I've had in life, they made me who I am today, which is someone who's self-reliant, independent. And for that, I am grateful. Okay. Now, a lot of that also is, how I took it. Of course, just like I know how to take blame for mistakes that I made, I also, say, okay, on this I was good. I learned from it.
Yeah.
But what most people don't realize that there's also, no matter how good or how bad you may be, there's always that little element of luck.
Oh, absolutely. And people are very uncomfortable giving luck credit, I find. And I think it's because they feel like if they say something else had a role in their success, that it diminishes their success. And that's the incorrect way to think about it, in my opinion. I think the right way to look at this is that over a large enough time sample or time space, there are going to be enough events that effectively balance out the effect of luck on your life to nil. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're born with like cerebral palsy in the projects, you're gonna have a harder time than someone, no matter what happens to you, than someone who was born 6'3" and their parents were millionaires. Right. There's just they're extremes for a reason. But overall, for the rest of
They'll
us
have
in the
different hardships, by the way. The
Oh
one
yeah,
who's
yeah, because
poverty
hardship
may
is
have a
relative
loving
for
mother,
sure.
and the 6'3" kid, who's born to the millionaires, may have parents who don't give a damn about it.
Yeah, so I really believe that almost no one kid gets everything off the jump. with that, and on the same token, almost no one gets every hardship possible, right?
Okay.
You get some pluses, you get some minuses, and
Yeah.
overall it balances out. And your goal, really, I believe your goal in life is to figure out your pluses and really lean into them, and then look at your negatives, and you get to make two decisions. You get to decide, okay, is this so bad that I should just stay away from this at all, development wise, and really avoid this? Or is this something that I can turn into a positive or remove the negative effect that it has, or the retractive effect that it has on the rest of my luck, so that I can do better, like for example, you use two things that I was not very good at growing up: math and basketball, right? Here's
Oh, hold on, hold on.
Yeah, I know you gotta pick one or the other, right? But uh,
Okay, go for it.
right now I'm only 6'1", and I'm built kind of wide naturally. So basketball just, and I wasn't born with that great coordination. And then I looked at how long it would take, and if I got it, and I didn't get into the sport early enough. And so I was like, okay, that is just never gonna be a thing that I'm good at. Let me avoid that.
Okay.
Math, on the other hand, I failed most of my math classes in high school. And when I got out, I was like, I'm still gonna try this anyway. Failed calculus 3 times. And I said, okay, maybe this ain't for me. Took some time off, and then due to a series of really unfortunate events that led to a fortunate one, me deciding to go back to school. But I said I'm not going to go back to school if I can't study something that has a decent ROI. Like I'm not going to just go get a degree for the sake of having a degree.
Right.
I'm gonna get one. And so the funny thing is, I said mathematics, and then I went electrical engineering, and then I went physics. Okay, and I got and then I ended up getting the physics degree, and with that, the math minor that comes with it. Every physics person has taken every single math class you can take up to the 300 level and some beyond. And the lesson, or I guess the point I'm trying to make is that one of those things had zero, I really learned. Now, granted, like if I could, like if I had a wicked jump shot or something, maybe I get a
Yeah.
scholarship or something. Who knows? But ultimately, I'm fighting the ceiling of athleticism and height at that. Math, I put a lot of. I mean, we're talking a lot of time into it. And
Yeah.
how are some of the ways this has paid me back? Well, one of my favorite ways is that, when I was boxing and I lost my fight on TV, they were not happy with how I lost. It was a bad loss, um, and so they cut me, and with that went all my money. And I wanted to. I took a semester off when that happened, and then I was going to go back to school, but I still needed work. I needed some money, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't in the army anymore, so I wasn't getting money for that. I wasn't boxing. I wasn't being paid what I was paid in boxing, so I wasn't getting money from that. So I was like, what am I going to do? How am I like I mean, I'm talking about a stressful time, right? And don't you know, just because of the connections that I had, I was in, my coach's wife was or is the guidance counselor at a school district, or at a high school, and it's a relatively affluent high school, not like super rich kids, but no one's poor by far. And she's like, well, can he tutor?
Okay.
And I was like, okay, yeah. And she goes, well, can he tutor math and science? Because we really don't need anything else. I'm like, that's all I can do. Are you kidding? So I went, and I ended up being able to charge, and this was kind of my baptism by fire into the business world,
Yeah.
particularly online business and just learning the principles in general. I was able to start out charging people $35 an hour, which
Okay.
which if you are being really prudent, like that gave me the time to go to school, because
Yeah.
I think in that semester I was still doing 17 credits. Uh, Go to school, and then only tutor. I mean, I started out with 6 hours a week with my first client, and then it gradually got up to my first client in January. I was 6 hours. That's it. And then by May, because when you do a thing well, people hear about it,
Yeah.
and I think I teach very well, and I had a strong grasp of the principles. I mean, I think I was turning down work. I mean, I made so much money in May that
Nice.
I didn't have to worry about not having a gig over the summer. You know,
Okay.
and so that that's one that talk about, because if I had done nothing, right,
Yeah.
and then I lost, there's no way anyone could help me.
Yeah.
But it ends up making my life easier. The other way is it really adds this dimension to, I think, my overall presentation and persona on the internet, and that I'm not just some guy that fought, and I'm not just the guy that writes. I've got legitimate credentials that anyone who decides that they want to challenge me on, we can
Yeah.
go to the AJP, the American Journal of Physics. They put down physics majors every year. I'm writing there,
All right.
or on my school's website. They make a big deal because no one gets a degree in physics. First of all, like no one, to the point where, like, when your school graduates, my school literally just got into it. When your school graduates, more than 10 physics majors a year, average for 5 years, you get special, like, they take attention, right?
Really?
There's only like 25 schools that do it. Now
Wow.
there are some that are disproportionate, like MIT and
Okay.
I can't remember this other school. It's got a weird name. I want to say some Harvey Mudd. That I think that's right. But these places graduate a disproportionate amount, and also the you know who else does, the United States Naval College, I think maybe it's one
Really?
of the, or Army College, but yeah, but no one gets this degree. But
So,
talk about the doors it opens. I mean, I said to my girlfriend then, and now it's true. I said, outside of something that requires a professional designation like an MD or a JD, I can do whatever I want. Like, I can do whatever I want, and it's because I spent so much time learning. I mean, because you have to learn a program, you have to learn all this. I mean, all the science. It wouldn't even some cursory biology, uh, all the math. And then I ended up reinforcing that with my teaching and the tutoring. I mean, I really talk about a rewarding career.
yeah.
Like, I ended up doing it 1 year more than I needed to, not for money. I really loved it, and it made me a better student at that.
Okay. Well, I have to say, a boxer who majored in physics, I mean, that's kind of two
Uh,
opposites coming together, right?
yeah, I don't really know how. Well, I know how it worked. I mean, because I'm more practical than I think people would ever believe just talking to me, or just if you just looked on the outside. But I'm very
Yeah.
practical, and really what I said is, I said, okay, I am not going to go back to school for something that doesn't have math in it. Like all the 15 highest employees jobs with the highest employee satisfaction had math. All the big majors that paid well had some component of math in it. And I said, okay, and that's why I originally chose mathematics. I ended up in physics because as I was studying because I ended up changing my mind again, and I said electrical engineering,
Hmm.
and all engineers have to take a physics class.
Okay.
And in my physics class, I was like, wow, I think this is what I really was trying to find, but I couldn't. Let me do this instead. And so
Okay.
that's what I did, and it ended up making my life just so much better. I mean, I'm paying off my loans, right? Once again, let's be fortunate. I'll be grateful. I'm grateful that I'm in a position where my student loans cause me zero stress. I just kind of look at them and go, I'm just gonna keep knocking you off, and in a year you won't exist.
Yeah.
But like, uh, I'm 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 fortunate that I, I can pay them, but the degree, even though I don't use it to work, it just opens up doors. I mean, even it opens up doors and gets
There's
people
that,
to talk to me.
but I'll say there's also something else. Um, so legally, I'm considered handicapped. I had a injury with my leg, you know. Um, and so one of the things that it bought me. It gave me pretty much, lessons in whatever I wanted. Okay, from so that's nice. And so the social worker when it was like, there's a like 8 week course or 10 week course, I don't remember. Okay, it's not like studies specifically, but it helps you think about things differently sometimes. I said, what, self-help? She said, no, 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 no. You actually learn things. She said, but I think you may enjoy it. I said, sure, why not? It's nice I was doing anything else at the time. So I went there, and one day the teacher, this obviously was not in the US, yeah, uh, it was an English lesson. So I said to the teacher, I said, look, I mean, English, I don't really need to study English, right? So you mind if I don't come? Because it could affect, like if they let me continue or not, right? She said,
Yeah.
actually, I do want you to stay here. I looked at him like, you realize we're talking about an English lesson here. Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, I speak English very well. She said, that's not the issue. I want you to learn, so because I'm teaching them tricks on how they can better improve whatever language, in this case English, with certain tips and tricks of how to notice patterns in languages and stuff like that. Okay? She said, so forget that it's English. You're going to learn another way of thinking about things. She said, and I think you'll enjoy that. So I did stay, of course. And it's true. I think that even if studies, yeah, I didn't go to college just because I had other things going on at the time. But I did take a lot of courses afterwards, so independent. Okay. And one of the things that I love about it is the fact that it teaches you to think.
Uh-huh.
I think that that's the biggest takeaway. Even if the degree itself is not giving you anything specifically today, it teaches you to think in a way that's different from what you grew up with.
Absolutely. And this is something that it's so hard to put a price on this. I think the price they put on it in the United States is too much.
Mhm.
But it is undeniably valuable.
Yeah.
I think about how I came to understand and break down problems and think through things. And there's no there's no way I would have. I mean, I'm just not that kid, right? I don't know if some people are. I know I'm not, right? I'm just not that guy that would have studied to the level of rigor that I was required to on my own. Like I would have had a passing kind of he I effing love science level of understanding, but not to the point now where I like dig and dive in. Like I'm writing this article right now, a review of these Blu-ray blocker glasses, blue light blocking glasses. And one of the things that I'm so grateful for, right, reading this is or writing this is the ability I learned how what light is, right? You know, everyone has to take optics or physics 3 or whatever you want to call it, right? Uh, and so I really learned. I'm like which made me a skeptic to begin with, right? And then I was like, let me try this and see what it's about. And then I did, and I went with research, and I was like, wow, I mean, I get it. I understand because I can sit here and go, okay, well, we're talking about blocking the lower wavelength of light, and okay, that's why they're blue light blockers. And so we've got this research that shows that the lower wavelengths of light affect the circadian rhythm,
Mhm.
and that's a problem because in the old days, because my first thought was like, it's like I think about with sunscreen. It's like, well, it wasn't around forever. How we survived, and turns out that one of the problems that we have is that blue light isn't all light. First of all, because
Yeah.
all white light is all light put together, but blue light is everything. I'm like, come on, man, how is you telling me the sun is messing with me and I need to get some glasses for that? Well, the issue is that because it's an all light and the blue light in particular affects the circadian rhythm, particularly when blue light is present, it inhibits the production of melatonin. Uh, when we look at the screen after sundown, we're
Yes.
messing our whole rhythm up. And
Yeah.
I was like, and so like and it's funny I haven't put that formally. That was just the first time me discussing it, but understanding the whole concept of wavelength and light and why that is, and like why when I look through these glasses, they have to also block the green spectrum as well, as opposed to just blue and however that would look. I'm it's once again one of those little ways where like, okay, so the degree didn't get me a job, and I think that's the confusion that a lot of people have when they. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge critic of the American university system,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
and I, and I went through it, right. And I went through it as an adult with like my eyes wide open too, which is also an experience. But But one of the things that it did for me that you can't get anywhere else, I think, is studying and working through just challenging things and being able to explain how they work to yourself and then to others. But that's part of the, because I wasn't a great mathematician
Yeah.
from a physics standpoint, my gift was I really understood the physics. I mean, I could explain why the equation was measuring this and would change, while they could manipulate it better. But that, we all come into this thing with different abilities. Don't get it twisted. I'm still better at math than 99% of the population.
Of
It just
course.
so
Yeah.
happens that that 1% are my peers. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Okay. So now, let me ask you, how did you get into your current business?
Uh, you know, really just
Luck?
luck. I like, right, luck, intent. We'll say not so much luck, but not that much intent. Somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I've always wanted to be a writer,
Hmm.
and I really believe I excel at instructing people, because I think one thing that I'm really fortunate with is I was never hit with the curse of knowledge. I know exactly what it feels like to be a beginner and to struggle and to make the steps and then continue to get better. Like I said to one of my students, I said, I already know all the mistakes you're gonna make. I failed this class. I took this class four
Yeah.
times. You know, so just don't worry. Just follow my lead, and we're gonna get through this. I had a student for AP Calculus. So, dude, we're gonna get through this, and you're gonna be good. Okay, now, I've been working on the blog writing, and what really ended up happening with that is that you learn little things just along the way, because you want to produce a great product and you want to be successful with that product. So along the way, what do I pick up? Well, first of all, I become a way better writer. I mean, I'm fortunate. Well, the cool thing about writing on the internet is that you have all your old writing too, and so you can compare to now.
Yeah.
And with top everything from just structure to flow to word choice to word economy and efficiency, I'm just better and better and better now. So my writing skill improves, which improves my communication skill.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, I got to make sure this people see this. So I learned SEO, and really I learned SEO, kind of like kind of like the way you learn how to read by living in a library. I just happened to, I had to figure it out, and I had to work with my metrics and really learn what works and why it works and what doesn't. And now I'm studying SEO like kind of formally. Um, but it's cool just seeing some things verified and other things where it was like, wow, you just got lucky, and other things like, dude, you really should have stopped doing that like 2 years ago. So it's just cool seeing that how it comes together. So you got the writing, you got the SEO, and then on top of that, I figured out very quickly that, and I always knew this. It was just a matter of how to do it.
Yeah.
Uh, the, there's a marketing side of it where you have to put forth the most kind of marketable version of
Hmm.
yourself. My surprise is this. One, there's no such thing really as this kind of reputation. I'm not purposely manipulating people to think of me in a certain way. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm using the fact that I'm public enough. I mean, I certainly can't get away with doing anything stupid, right? People know who I am. At
Yeah.
the very least, they go Google and they go, "Oh, I'm gonna blow this up if I like said something stupid in the DMs or whatever." Uh, I'm using that as a form of public accountability to kind of force me to be a better person, and it works. It keeps me, because I get to be this role model, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so let's be that role model. So there's that. And there's also, how do I tell my story? Because look, I always say this: you're not gonna experience anything new, right? Or at least you probably won't, right? Go with probably. Uh, the
Yes.
difference between me and someone else is how I present it. What is my angle? What is my unique way of combining words and expressing this experience?
Yeah.
How do I do that? If you can figure that out, because there is some art to it, but a lot of it is a science. A lot, that's what I wrote about on my Twitter book, because a lot of the principles I use for writing I took from Twitter. Because
Yeah.
Twitter is great. It lets you just get on, write really quickly. 280 characters is your limit, and you do something with it or you don't, right?
Right.
And I think I've done something with it really well. One of the things I learned in doing something very well with Twitter is how to write in a way that produces engagement. And more importantly, I really love this about my writing. Uh, I don't do it in a way to agitate. I do it in a way to uplift. The negativity as not positivity, not like as a pejorative kind of abrasive term, has its place. But I really prefer to the way I do it, which is I try to help people. I really try to have my account be a value add. I'm not interested in the shock tactics. I don't know how long you've been following me, but I've been vocal about this, and and you can see it. I don't talk politics. I think it is
Yeah. So
a
it's actually, I'll tell you. You remember I told you at the beginning the way I found you was via someone else that I don't follow anymore, right?
yeah.
And here's a huge comparison between you and that person, where I noticed that you, because look, no matter how much people may love you, yeah, there will be things that people disagree with you about, right?
Right.
Now, let's be honest. Some will say it in a way that is respectful, speaking with another human, they understand. And some will say it in a way where it's pretty much, duck you and that's it. All right.
Yeah.
And the way that you respond to those people is very, very different than the way that that person used to respond to them.
And that's how and a lot of people are like that. I'm learning more and more that like every now and then someone will get me on a bad day and I'm just like, what are you talking about? But
Yeah.
even still, I don't just insult anyone.
Yes.
I in fact, here's one thing I don't do. I never lead off with an insult ever. That's just
Yeah.
if I come back and say something crazy, it is because you said something crazy first and you don't follow me. I always give somebody the benefit of the doubt if they follow me. I look and go, it's got to be really heinous. Uh,
Yeah. 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 There
but
must be a reason behind this answer. Yeah.
right, but because I never forget, and I don't know why people continue to forget this, but it's been very easy for me to remember. I never forget that there's another person on the other side, even no matter what
Yes.
their avatar is. There's
Yeah.
another human on the other side, and I know exactly, like I know what it feels like to have somebody, talk crazy to you and and
So
and, and be mean. I'm just like, why would you do that? I know you're another. Maybe you don't get it. Maybe you aren't as intelligent, or maybe you're seeing it a different way. But I'm not gonna chop you up for that, especially because, like, look, let's put it like this. I'm very not anonymous, right? Uh, I'm not gonna just go like someone could look at my persona and I believe erroneously, but they could come to the conclusion that I'm some kind of like large in life super alpha hero person, right? Like, nah, man, I'm just a regular dude, man. I watch 90 Day Fiance, man. Like, you know how trashy that is. Dude, I'm like I eat my ice cream. I watch 90 Day Fiance. I hang out with my girl. I'm just a regular person, dude.
yeah.
And I would never want somebody to feel like someone is putting them down for who they are, their position or whatever. I
Well,
never want to do that.
so here's the thing, because unlike you, I do write about politics on my various things, and I'll explain. Um, so being Jewish and loving, what is the Jewish homeland, you can get a lot of hate for that. But my grandmother, she's a Holocaust survivor, right? She lost her entire family. So I am not going to be silent about that hate.
Yeah.
But so being on the receiving end of that hate, which can sometimes, I was speaking with a friend of mine and I was saying, there are times when you just like break, like, why do you hate me? Like, what is it? And it can be very hard. And because I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that hate, I am always very careful, even if it's someone that really wishes me dead in every way possible. I still will not berate them. I won't lower myself to that level. I refuse to do that because then I'm no better than them. That's the way that I see it. And there's actually a guy oh God, I forgot his name, something Davis or Davis something, an African American, um, or who managed to, I'll say, convert. I think it's 600 or
Right.
200.
Oh, you're talking about the jazz singer dude, or like the musician over in
Yeah,
Maryland.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The converted the Klansman.
Yes. And this guy, so I was reading up about him. I mean, this guy is incredible. Going up to someone who literally hates you simply because of your skin color, right? Because the difference between you and me is that me, unless I'm saying I'm Jewish, right?
Right. No one can.
People can't really guess.
Yeah.
Whereas you, it's kind of visible right there.
Yeah.
Right? And so going up to people who literally hate him for no reason, right? No, right? Well, no good reason, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And he said that the reason, because someone asked him, why did you even start this? He said, well, I wanted to understand. They don't know me. Why do they hate me? He said, that's all I
Right.
wanted to understand. He said, and that's how the conversation started each time, And yeah, he's not changing, hundreds of thousands of people.
But he's doing more. That's I love that story, and I
Right?
always, I always have to. I always look it up about black guy converts Klansman, right? Maryland. I got the details. The name never sticks with me.
Something Davis. That's as far as I can get each time.
And I love that story because that resonates so much with some I say. The change in the world happens when you change yourself, and then you change those around you, and then it webs out and they change things. To try and do it the top down way, I think it's just a recipe in frustration, and it doesn't result in real change. Because what is that old saying? He who is convinced against his will remains of the same opinion still. So when it's better to really legitimately cause it to change, no matter how small, and doing that, we don't know. Here's one of the things I talk about when I talk about my sobriety, for example. I go, I don't know what other foolishness I would have got into over the past 6 years. I have no idea. What I do know is I completely eliminated all of that from my life timeline when I stopped drinking. We don't know what kind of foolishness these guys would have done, what kind of harm they would have caused, what kind of lives they would have altered. What we do know is that by making that conversion, those events are completely wiped off the timeline. And so we can say with a fair degree of certainty, this is weird, a fair degree of certainty about an uncertain thing, we can say with a fair degree of certainty that this guy made a difference, a legitimate difference, and changed the world.
There's a saying in Judaism, if you save one life, you've saved an entire world, right? Because potentially from two people, you can build an entire world, right?
Man, I'd actually heard that, and it's one of the that saying, they say that line at the end of Schindler's List, and you want to talk about like a movie that made me there's been no experience in theater that has really caused me to reflect the way that movie did, but I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And incredible.
Dude, I'm totally with you on that. And, I was when I read about this jazz player, the musician, who converted the KKK guys. I was thinking whether it's 200 or 600, I honestly don't remember, but let's say it's 200 as a worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
Think about, so he changed their lives, right? And so that's already 200 lives, I'll say, which have been saved because these people used to be full of hate and now they're not, right? And then that resonates around them to their families and their friends and the people in their communities. And I mean, this one guy, just with that one question of why do you hate me if you don't know me, has managed to save so many worlds. I mean, it really gives you it really backs up the idea, gives you the strength of if you can save just one person, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, the
you're
things you're
right.
able to do then, you know, it's actually, I invite you to this, by the way. I'll send you the link afterwards. One of the things that we have at the Good Life Manifesto is change the world. Yeah, well, it's improve the world by improving yourself, one habit at a time, one person at a time. Okay, if each one of us, improves ourselves and 1% at a time, because just a little bit. If each one of us, improves just a little bit in one habit, the world by default is already a lot better because the entire world is an average of what everybody in it is, right?
Yes.
And this guy really, I mean, just proves that point. You know, um, it's an awesome story. I'm glad we're able to bring it up here.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, man. I always like when people are able to see the bigger picture beyond themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's really hard today for a lot of people for a lot of reasons to be able to look and go, okay, this seems like a small thing, and it doesn't seem like it's going to have a great big consequence because it's very hard for humans in general to think about things they can't see or touch, like the future,
Mm-hmm.
or the network effect, the butterfly effect of their actions. I think it's very hard for us to comprehend that. But the ones who can, from my experience, the ones who can do that uh, end up not only living stellar lives themselves, but affecting other people in such a way that the humanity really is better for them. And one of the periods of guilt that I went through for a little while is I was like, I'm focusing on learning how to make money and make my life better. And I should be taking this knowledge and becoming a scientist or something, working on climate change, whatever. And then I had like this realization. I said, okay, I have, XYZ gifts and XYZ abilities, and things happen to me, and my trajectory is what it is. That does not prevent me from making some kind of impact on the world, right? And in many ways, one could argue the impact that I have now, the way I use my personality, the way I reach out and talk to people, the way at this point, I mean, there's got to be millions of people can interact and see something I do, and the letters I get, and where they're like, oh, I stopped drinking because of you, and I was able to make these changes and challenges, or make these changes and confront these challenges, these things I was afraid of because of something you wrote or said. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna be the one who freaking comes up with a new bacteria to eat plastic. That ain't gonna be that's not my role to play in this thing, right? But maybe I motivate someone to do that and carry on despite a hardship they face. Maybe the mind that would do that, they live. You want to talk like degrees of order? I just think these things up. They live because the drunk driver that would have killed them stopped drinking
Yeah.
because they read something I read. It's really difficult to measure the impact that you will have, but you have to know that some things, without a shadow of a doubt, are going to have a positive impact on yourself and the world.
So it's and we're going to start to wrap up. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. By the way, yeah. I mean, um, but it's one of the things that I had a conversation with someone in my family a few years ago about this. She was saying, it's really a shame you didn't do additional studies afterwards because you could have, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because in high school, I actually studied physics.
Ah, okay.
Obviously, not as advanced, as we do in a college degree, but the basics were there. Um, and she said, you could have done anything. I said, yeah, I could have. But what I'm very good at and I enjoy doing is I'm very good at reading who's the person in front of me and knowing what makes them tick. She said, okay, so you got into sales. I'm like, well, yeah, to make a living, right?
All right.
I said, to make a living, yes. I said, but go beyond that. I said, if you want to make a change in the world, okay, any change in the world, you need to be able to influence people. I said, the fact that you don't consider that as powerful as finding a cure for something, I don't understand. I said, it may not be, as highly recognized as, the Nobel Prize winner for medicine or whatever. Yeah. I
Right.
said, but if you can change just one person with one little thing, if you made their life just a little bit better by even just telling them thank you at the end, right? Isn't that worth it?
Absolutely.
No.
There are so many people uh, who don't realize something as little like manners. Manners, like you said, to thank you. There's something as little as manners. Um, and this is not to excuse anyone's insane behavior. This is just merely recognizing reality and then adjusting to it accordingly. Look,
Mhm.
there are people uh, who are good every year. There's there are hundreds of stories of people who are gunned down because someone had a bad case of road rage and they didn't realize the other person was a little more road ragier. That's it, right?
Yeah.
When all if you just play it cool and be like, calm down, chill out, boom. Right. Now granted the other person should have that too,
No, of
but
course.
we're talking about two lives altered directly, no idea, people who are around them and
Yes.
influence uh because of lack of manners, or even worse, someone who agitates, right?
Yes. And that we find a lot online.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Sorry. Oh, sorry, Yana. Over here, it's
okay, all
if
good. All
you're
good.
in
It's okay.
France, what is it like? Noon, right? Just about.
Where I am,
Yeah.
right now it is 2:15.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Oh, that's right. Something, not daylight saving time. Something. Which one? No, I just learned these because one of the people I work with, is in the UK and France. Funny
okay.
thing, you realize they're not the same time zone.
No,
Seems like they should be. But I learned that earlier this week or last week because I was setting up a call, and I just said, okay, yeah, it'll be noon here, so it should be like 5 there. It'll be all right. And turns out she went back to France with her boyfriend, and so I'm like, where are you? Where are you? I was like, well, I thought you said noon EST, and I was like, I did. But it's just one of those funny things, man. Working in the world, the time zones.
yeah, it's something I'm horrible with. I admit it. I always say to people, you know,
uh, uh, I've gotten better than I thought I ever would be. Like way better. Like my mind immediately goes, all right. I know it's in the afternoon over there. Like I get it, right?
well, I have someone on my team who's in India, and India is a huge country.
And they
Okay.
have half-hour time zones. That blew my
Yes.
mind. I was like, because one of my clients is in India, and I was like, and I found this out because we scheduled a time, and then daylight savings time happened, and I was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, that's right, you guys don't do that." And
Yeah.
then we were just talking time zone. I was like, "Wow, a half hour? That's
So
weird."
I'll say two things about that. A, that's the reason everything is automated in my calendar. It's like it gets put in. I don't need to do that. If I did that, trust me, we would be bad. But the second thing is, after I left Russia, there was someone that I was working with that stayed there. He was from Cyprus, and he and I were talking. So I'm like, well, but wait, like, isn't it this time right now? He's like, oh no, no, they don't have daylight uh, savings time. I was like, oh really? He said, yeah. He said, I went and I asked him, what dates do you change the time? And they said, what do you mean change the time?
Right.
Like savings time. They're like, why change the time? The time is the time.
We have there are two states in the U.S. that don't practice it,
Oh, I didn't
Arizona
know
and
that.
I believe Iowa. Well, I found out about Arizona the hard way. I was taking a train across the country 10 years ago, and I was like, man, it is getting dark. I went in the summer, And I was like, wow, the sun really goes down early on over here. And I was like, oh, the times didn't go back. And then a buddy of mine that I played chess with, we got together online and we played some live games. And he said 10 a.m. Arizona time. And he said it exactly that way. In
Right?
my mind, I just interpreted that as Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's just it's
Arizona
the
time.
Arizona time, which because of daylight savings is not on the way we look at it from here, Mountain Standard Time, but is actually an hour ahead or
All
behind,
right.
I
Well, I
guess.
learned something new.
So yeah, this interesting stuff, man. Funny little tangent on time zones and
It's one
daylight
thing
savings.
that really, Ed, it's really, I mean, I can continue this for hours. It's been awesome. It really has been very awesome. And I hope we'll be able to do this again soon.